Welcome back to Full Bootcamp. So we are going to continue coding our PHP form. On our playlist, we are here on number 6. So now this video will be number 7, which will continue what we left on the last video where we were coding our PHP form and linking the code to MySQL so you can work with the database. So let's go right away. So we were here creating the variables for name, email, phone, and status. Now when it comes to kids, we have to do something a little different. We have to use what is called set. So this function tells us if it is set or not set. What do I mean by that? Well, if I go back in our project, we can see here this field, the radio field, and then the check-in box. If somebody does not select anything, then it's gonna be empty. So what happened is that then when we're gonna click on save, then it's gonna give us an error. So we don't want to have this type of error. So this is why we're gonna say over here, we're gonna use this function is set. So if it is set, we're gonna do the usual. We're gonna use this, the post, can post. Okay, we'll copy this, let's put it here, but in this case it's gonna be the kid, right? And then we can say once again paste it, kids, like this. Let's not forget the other quote. So we're gonna say we're gonna put this information if it's set, mean if there's something, we're gonna put this kid, which is the information that the user will input. But if not, then you're going to put 0. Okay, so that will help us to avoid errors when it's going to the user is gonna select the yes or no. And we can just copy this and then paste it here, and instead of kids, now this time it's gonna be interest. And make sure you type it, because many times you're gonna have problems with the typing of this, and if you have an issue, it's gonna give you an error. So what I would do here, I would actually go into the index and actually take it directly from here to make sure I don't make any mistake when it comes to the name here, the name interest. Let's copy it. And as you can see over here, I put these 2 little brackets to let the code know that this is going to be an array. So let's go back into the save and type and just copy this to make sure that I actually have the correct spelling, and I don't want to make mistakes, so avoid errors like this. So it's the same thing. Is if it's set, this function is gonna check. It's like an if statement. It's gonna check if there is an information, then you put it. If this information is in, then you post it. If not, this little interrogation mark means if not, then instead of 0, since it's an array, we're gonna put null. Okay, because we can have an empty array. Okay, so this is done. Now we're gonna come over here and we're gonna say array interest equals to null. We're gonna initiate this variable and give it the value to null, and we're gonna say let's initiate another variable, but this time num array. So how many elements are in the array? And for this we're gonna use a function called count to keep track, and say interest like this. Okay, and finally we're gonna do another counter, and we're gonna initialize the counter to 0, because we're gonna be using it in a for loop now and in an if statement. Okay, so we're gonna initialize those 3 variables to make sure we use them now, and here we're gonna use a loop. We're gonna need a loop to go through this array, and I'm just gonna copy it for you here. It's a little advanced loop, or a little complicated, might be for the beginners, but essentially what we're gonna say, if this variable it's more than 0, so it means there's information in the array. So somebody selected the information. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do if it's more than 0, we're gonna go through the loop, and then what we're gonna do is the counter. We're gonna say we're gonna add an empty space every time we're gonna find an element and separate it by a space. If not, we're gonna put the value into the array. We're gonna concatenate the value to the array interest, so this one here, which was null over here, and we're gonna put the value here, and then we're gonna increment this and go through the array to find all the information from the array interest. So we'll be able to find all the interest that the user selected. the sports, the music, and so on. Okay, and finally, what we need is just to write our SQL statement. So we can connect all this to the database. So we create this variable SQL, and now we're just gonna do a statement, a MySQL statement, and we're gonna say insert into user is the name of my database. You can put the name you want, and we're gonna say here name, email divided by a comma, all the elements, status, kids, this is what's on the database, kids, interest. Okay, I think we have all of them, so we close this here, and now we're gonna say the values, insert into the values. So we want to insert some values into those fields. Those fields we're talking about is the ones, all these fields are the ones that are in the database that we created earlier. So we say the values, which values you're talking about? Well, the values coming now from here, and the double close is to just close the statement. So we have the opening comma here and the close here. This is gonna be at the end. We can actually just put like this so we know that this is the end over here. Those are just the opening commas, the closing comma, and then the end. So you know this is gonna be the end. So here we're gonna put so which value are we talking about? Well, the value we just define here, all these values, name, email, phone, status, and kids, and interest, which we're gonna put on all these fields of the database. So basically you repeat the whole thing here. I would do like this, copy the whole thing and put it as so here. There you go. But now we're gonna say it's a variable, so it's an email like this, it's a phone, the status, the kids, and for the interest we have to define, because it's an array. So we're gonna say array interest. Here is this one here that we created null, but then we put the value inside. As you can see, we took the value and we put it on the array interest. So it's actually the array interest here. Okay, so I hope you're getting this. Now we're gonna just fix the quotes, because this has to be on quotes, and on the numbers don't need to be on quotes, but you can put it on quotes if you want the phone, because I think we didn't select number, we actually selected on the database varchar, not a num. So status, so the kids needs comma like this, and then the array interest like so. All right, and now we just close this opening parenthesis, which we open it here, we close it here. Okay, I hope this was not too complicated. So now we have, this is our statement, I'll do it like this so you can check it and see it better. Alright, I'll give you a few minutes to make sure that it's properly done for you guys. And now we're gonna go with all this. We're gonna say, well, there's a variable MySQL and query. We're doing a query here, a query as so, and we're gonna say, we're gonna put everything you got there, all the information you got here, and we're gonna put it here in this function, and then we're gonna insert it and into a variable that we call result. Okay, so all this, the SQL, we took all this information, we put it on this variable we put it here, we did the MySQL function query, and then we put everything into the result. Now our values are taken from our form. There's a few things more that we need to finish here before we can test this out, and it's, we go back here, if we left this here. So now that we have our result variable, we're gonna put it here, the result, and we're gonna do the condition. If the result, we're gonna close our PHP over here, because now we're gonna put some HTML, and we're gonna say here, let's do an h2, and we're gonna say user was saved successfully. Okay, so if everything worked properly, if the result is good, we're gonna save it. If we got the connection to the database, this is the connection to the database. If you took all the values and you put it on all these variables, you run all these loops, you did this statement over here, and everything went fine, well then take the result. If everything is true, it's perfect, then we're gonna put here it was saved successfully. But if not, we're gonna say, if not, then PHP will come here and we're gonna close here our statement. Actually, this one here, we don't need it. We're gonna close it like this. Else, we open the statement, else, but then here we need to close as well the statement, because we're gonna put again basically the same thing as here. We're gonna say copy on the else, but now it's not the user was saved successfully. No, we're gonna say this doesn't work, else something went wrong. Okay, and now since we already closed here our PHP, we need to open it here again, because every time we can mix HTML into PHP. That's why we open it and we close. If you're asking yourself what is this mess, it's because we are using PHP here, but then we're using HTML. So every time you're gonna put some HTML, you need to close your PHP. So here we open it, we close it over here. So now we need to open it again, because we're finishing the statement here. PHP, like this, and then this is PHP, and then we close it here. There you go. And finally, we can probably put it here an anchor tag, and the anchor tag will send us to the index, because now we are on save, as you can see here, save PHP. So this will send us to our index PHP, and we can also put maybe a button here, a class that is equal to a button btn, and we can make it primary, so means blue, and we can say okay, this is, we can say back, go back, makes a button. This is just a button to send us back to our index, because now we have just this page is after the user will click on save now, then it will reload to a new page. This is the save PHP, and this new page will save the transaction went well or not, and we give them an option to come back if something went wrong. This is more like for the user experience. So Control S to save. So we have this. So let me just make sure that we close one last thing before I forget. Let's make sure that we close our HTML, because remember we copy this from the index over here, but we copy only the body. So make sure now here that you close your tag, your HTML tag. Okay, so I hope everything's good. If not, the browser will give us error, and then we're gonna try to fix them. This is the way you code is, not everything will go as you planned. Sometimes things are gonna break, and if they break, well, then you troubleshoot and you try to find what's wrong and try to fix it. So let's go here for our save. It's already done. So now index, we need to go back to our index, because now we did this save. So we need to go into the form and make sure that you have over here that the method you use is post, and that the action is we're sending, after they press the save, that they're sending the person to the save PHP. Make sure that you have this implemented. This already had it, and basically I think everything, I'll leave the code on the description. If not, put a comment and then communicate with me. Full bootcamp, and I'll help you out if you have any issues on any other of this with this script. So we're gonna save. I think everything should be good. Let's go and test it out. So here's the final result. I'm gonna leave it here for a few seconds so you guys can check real quick. But essentially, let me go actually through the code real quick. Require connection PHP. This is our connection PHP over here, where we have the localhost, the root, and the password, the name of your database over here, our index, and then our save document, our save PHP, and we have all the variables ready: the name, email, phone, status, kids, interest. Make sure for the kids, from the interest, you put the ESET, and ESET, as I explained it before, it's either we're gonna enter the information that customer put on the field, or we're gonna put 0, or we're gonna put null for in case of the interest, because it's an array. And then we create three variables with a counter that will keep track of the elements in the array. And then we have our for loop with some concatenation to put an empty space until we have no more elements, and then we put the value into the array interest, and this is what's gonna be and then we have our SQL statement: insert into the table users, or those are the fields on the table, and then the values are coming from all the variables over here from PHP. Then we do the query, we put the statement here, and then we put this into the result. and then we go down over here. If the result is good, then we say user was saved successfully. If not, something went wrong, and then we put this href as for home to go back. So now let's go and test the code to make sure that everything works. Okay, so first of all, let me refresh. This is the database. To go into the database, we can go into the local host over here. We have the dashboard, we have PHP admin over here, our database project PHP, and our table is called users. And as you can see, we have two elements, and now we're gonna add another element. We already in ID3 because I had a second element which I was testing and then I erased it. So we can go ahead and test, make a test to see that everything works properly. So let's refresh this, create a user. Let's call him JP Morgan, that's a good name. JP Morgan at yopmail.com. Phone number could be anything. And this guy is married, he has kids, yes, and he likes to read books and sport. And we go ahead and save the changes. We have a parse syntax error expected on token in PHP save on line 9. So if we go on line 9, let's read parse error syntax are expected, like we forgot a semicolon, and expected, actually we have a semicolon and we forgot a parenthesis. That's what it's saying. Let me see. Okay, line 9, so it could be here on the top or on the line 9. We open here the parentheses. Yes, as you can see, seems that I made an error over here. I put this extra semicolon, I'm not sure why, and I did the same here too. Control S. Now let's make sure that nothing else is off. I think everything should be okay. Let's test it again. Control S, and let's go back and test it. But PHP, that's what I like about it. It gives you exactly where the error is, and it usually tells you. As you can see, he was expecting in parentheses, and instead I have this semicolon. So let's refresh, continue. Now what he's saying, cannot use I said on the result for next. You can use null experience instead. Let me go back again. He's having trouble with this. Okay, I said post kit. This is what happened when you copy and paste, but it's good because this is what allows to fix issues if we have issues. So interest, I said post interest, good, post interest dot two dots, we make it null, be okay. Refresh this. Yeah. Okay, so I found my, see, well, I did an error when I was doing this. Okay, so what happens, the I set post kit, I need to close the is set here. I have to close it here, and we have to close it over here, the parentheses. And so I'm going to remove this one here. I think this happens when I did the copy and paste before. Control S. Let's go back, continue. There you go. User was saved successfully, database connection successful. This message comes from our connection PHP. And if we go on the database and I refresh, there you go, we have tom at yopmail.com. So the script seems to be working perfect. So let me go like this slowly so you can see it. The required connection, the variables, then we have the loop, the SQL statement, result, and here's the, let me go slowly because I want to make sure you guys, if you press pause, you can pause this and type it. If not, I'm gonna leave it on the description or on the comments, and or if I forget, just put a comment and I'll send you the full source code of this. And this is our HTML. So I hope you enjoyed this content, and don't forget, this is part of my Udemy course and the full bootcamp course as well. If you're serious about your learning, you should really go ahead and enroll on those courses. And for now, I would appreciate if you found any value on this to give me a free token, and the free token I'm asking is to subscribe and like this video, or just leave a small comment. I would really appreciate it. Help the algorithm, so it will help me a lot. Thank you so much.